Welcome to Outside is Magic, a podcast about the intersection of creativity and the outdoors. I'm your host, Christopher San Augustine. In this episode, I sit down with Gritchelle Fallesgon, a Portland-based photographer whose work blends movement, emotion, and the power of showing up as yourself. We talk about the scary leap from a stable design job to the uncertainty of freelance photography, how punk and DIY culture shaped her voice, and what it means to take up space in an industry that wasn't built for you. This is a real good one. Let's jump in. Thanks, Gritchelle, for jumping on the Outside is Magic podcast. Really appreciate you taking the time for joining me here. And yeah, I just wanted to start off and really just get a quick primer on who you are, how you grew up, and if you kind of had a creative background growing up, or if it's something you found later in life.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me. I'm so excited to hang out with you today. So I'm Gritchelle Fallesgon, and I'm a photographer based here in Portland, Oregon. I am originally from California. I grew up in this little terrible place called Stockton, California. And as a child, I would say I've always been creative, or at least creative, curious. I've always wanted to be like an artist or some kind of creative growing up. So it's always kind of been there.
Is there anything from your childhood that you did that you look back on now and you're like, oh man, that was pretty cool, and maybe kind of had little ripple effects later on in life?
Oh, what? Yeah, I don't know. I always used to draw and take photos. Always had like a little disposable camera. Yeah, that it was always kind of there. And I remember I still might have it in my closet somewhere. I have this little thing I made like maybe in grade school that it's like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And it said and I think you got to write down like three things. And I know the first two. Oh no, actually I know all three of them. I wanted to be an artist, an author, and an actress.
Nice.
So yeah, the whole author thing never kind of panned out, but writing is
Yeah,
something I'm working on to be better at. So I don't know. I guess
that's
that's kind of,
awesome.
so that's always been there too.
Yeah, well, I guess you've almost fulfilled all of them. I mean, you're an artist and
Yeah.
you've been behind the camera multiple times, so you're an actor in somewhat of ways, and you still have lots of life left to become an author.
Yeah.
So,
Good. I'm gonna start with blogging.
yeah, there you go. Bring back blogging.
Yes.
You mentioned growing up in Stockton and that it wasn't that great, but is there anything looking back now that you're like, maybe Stockton wasn't the perfect place, but I'm really glad this happened?
Yeah. Well, this doesn't really have to do anything with creativity, but I am grateful to have grown up in a very diverse city,
Yeah.
and just you know, being surrounded by all sorts of people of color, people of different ethnicities and everything. So I do really appreciate that upbringing, you know.
Cool. Well, yeah, there's a good positive thing about Stockton
Yeah,
for
so
sure.
there's a lot of Filipinos there.
Yeah. So you began your career as a designer, correct?
Yep.
Yeah. And so at what point did you realize that like design could be a career path for you?
I was so this is still when I was living in Stockton. I was working at a coffee shop. Actually, let me back up a little bit. I should probably back up a little bit. So I'd always wanted to be a photographer, like in high school. Like I wanted to become a professional photographer. But at the time, I didn't really know how to pursue that. Like, you either became like a photojournalist or a fine art photographer, and those weren't things I was really interested in, and my parents weren't going to pay for me to go to photography school. There was this renowned photography school back in the day called Brooks College, like in Southern California, and I wanted to go there, but my parents were not going to pay for that. So I kind of gave up on photography and was really lost for a few years and didn't know what to do. So I just stayed in Stockton, went to community college, and got a job at this coffee shop where we had punk rock shows in the basement. And at the time, I was also really into punk and like very like inspired by like punk DIY culture and like all the flyers and posters and all that things, all those things. And while working at this coffee shop, no one was making flyers for the shows. And I was like, well, that's weird. How are people supposed to know we're having shows here if there are no like flyers or posters? So then I kind of just started making flyers and I wasn't very good at them, but I spent so much time on them that like I realized "Oh, maybe this could be a thing for me, you know? And then I learned that that was graphic design.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's kind of how I stumbled upon graphic design was through making flyers for shows.
That's super cool. Like punk rock DIY is such a reoccurring theme with all the conversations I've had. Like, yeah, from making posters to like, hanging them around at, on different telephone poles or leaving them at different clubs or something.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah,
that's
it's a really
that's
interesting to see this common thread.
yeah.
So it sounds like photography was always in your mind. And so then you got into graphic design,
Hmm.
and at some point you realized that you really did want to become a photographer.
Yeah.
So what was that transition? I know you started taking on more photo jobs, I imagine, but at some point you had to commit to yourself and really take that leap and say like, "Hey, I'm going full in on photography."
Yeah. So that transition happened shortly after moving to Portland. And I was at this like little design studio and I don't know, it was like a year and I was just tired of doing design. I just got like, I don't know, I was just over it. And when you're like, and maybe you know this, but like when you're like in the creative world, especially in the design world, you go to all these like conferences and like go to all these talks where like all the older designers are telling you like you got to take a chance, you got to take a like a risk or whatever, like pursue the thing
Yeah.
that you love. And I've been like innovating with that for like years. And finally I was like, well, maybe this is time. Maybe I should like take a risk and like
Yeah.
pursue what I actually love, which is photography. And so I happened to be chatting with this recruiter about getting another design job somewhere else in town. And I had looked her up and I saw that she was doing career coaching. So after she and I were done talking about like getting a different design job, I was like, hey, I saw you're a career coach. I'm actually looking to like switch careers. And so, yeah, that's kind of how it started. She's like, oh, yeah. And she was doing that on the side. Like, obviously, she wasn't doing that as like as a recruiter. That was something she wanted to pursue full time. And so I think I was like one of her kind of early clients in her career coaching business. So she helped me sort of like, you know, like guide to create all the steps that I would need to take to like, to like quit design and like move
Mhm.
on to
So you had
photography.
like a kind of like a loose strategy to transition into photography.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, if that makes
Got you.
sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, there must have been like a lot of like uncertainty and fear involved with that, or maybe not. Is that true?
Yeah. Yeah, it was. And it was like, it was one of those things from like, okay, if this doesn't work out, then I can always fall back on design. But I was
Hmm.
definitely like, I don't know, like there was just so many things. Like, number one, like, what if this doesn't work, right? Well, how am I going to make money? Or two, what if I'm not good enough? Like, what if no one takes me seriously?
Yeah,
All that like insecurity.
gotcha.
But had to like just kind of like push that off to the side and just keep going at it.
Yeah. And was there a moment where you had that validation that you made the right choice and that you are worth it and able to do this?
Yeah, I think once the work started coming in, like slow, it was slow, but once it just kept coming in, then I realized, oh, this is happening. I'm in it. I'm doing it. I'm doing the thing that I set out to do.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's really a particular moment, but yeah, I think yeah, you just realize it once like once all of a sudden you become busy and it's like, oh, okay, I'm
Yeah.
a photographer now.
That's awesome. So, I mean, now that you've been through it, I mean,
Yeah.
what do you think about that? Do you think other people should do it, take the risk?
Yeah. I mean, if you're not happy at your current job, then why be there if you don't have to be? I mean, I know some folks obviously need to make money and, make a living, but if you're truly miserable, it's not worth it for your health to be stuck in a place that you're not happy at, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, for
because
sure.
that mental toll is gonna yeah, it's not good.
Yeah.
Sorry, I kind of
Yeah, I think a lot of people are in that headspace. I mean, me personally, I'm in that headspace. I've realized I don't like animating or designing really anymore.
mm,
And it's something I keep getting hired for. And the way I look at it now is, I at least identified that it doesn't make me happy anymore. And I can still continue to work and make money doing it. But in the meantime, I can also spend my extra time focusing on things that make me happy. And then
yeah,
what you did is slowly transition into that full time.
yeah,
So it is possible to, yeah, do that slow transition for sure
yeah,
for people who
yeah,
are too scared just to like cold turkey. But
yeah. Although there's always something kind of rad when someone does like cold turkey. Like I admire those people who could do that.
yeah,
I'm definitely more of like, stick your foot in the water a little bit and then before like,
yeah,
yeah, taking the plunge.
yeah. I mean, it's great that yeah we have so many options now.
We
But
do, yeah.
it's nice to know that other people are going through the same thing though, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, I hear it all the time too. If you
Yeah,
don't, yeah, if you have the means and you can switch careers, and you should try it. Just, I don't know. Life is short, you know? You can't be stuck
yeah.
at a job that you hate and that you're miserable at, you know?
You're gonna talk me out of quitting my job right now. I mean, you're gonna talk me into it right now. So graphic design, I feel like had a pretty like a creative process, like
Hmm.
traditionally, quote unquote.
Yeah.
What does like your photography process look like from like intaking a client to potentially directing them into the right direction of like where they need to go with the project,
Oh, yeah.
if you have it?
Yeah.
I'm sure it changes per job, but
I think, well, the basic process really is like, I mean, if we're really talking about process, it's really like a lot of like going back and forth, like through email or like having a meeting. I actually really prefer like having like, I guess, yeah, a consultation with this potential client or clients. And yeah, and just talking about what like their goals are for the project, what they need, all that. It just makes it a lot easier than actually doing like the whole email back and forth thing. And then you can just have like you can all hop on a video chat and just like have a conversation about like what it is that we're all trying to achieve for this particular project. And then, from there I will like take notes down, maybe start a spreadsheet. And yeah, that's kind of like, it's like not like exciting, that sort of process, but that's part of it, like writing it down, organizing everything into folders and whatever, putting starting a mood board. Yeah. Does that kind of answer your question, or is there a
yeah,
little bit
yeah,
more?
totally, totally.
Yeah. Yeah. Because,
Yeah, what's
we're running a business. So it's like, there's like kind of like that aspect, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Yeah, people forget that there's a lot of admin work with all this. Even the most amazing projects have a lot of admin work as well.
yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know anyone. I mean, I'm sure there are some people there, but like to just like be the creative who only focuses on creative and nothing else, like for me, that'd be so amazing. And not
Yeah.
have to deal with any paperwork or admin work. But that's not my reality. I have to do it all.
Do you do you think that eventually you'd to get to a place where you wouldn't have to do all the admin work? Or are you kind of
Yeah.
happy staying smaller like you are right now?
I think about that sometimes. I would love to see what that looks like. Having a business partner who like kind of handles that stuff. I think that'd be really interesting. But like right now, I'm happy, being kind of small and doing it. But I know that if I wanted to like grow and like land bigger projects, maybe it would make sense to have that sort of like business partner to help me with that.
Yeah. Do you have any quirky like rituals before like a shoot? Checking the batteries or anything like that?
Oh, quirky ritual. I don't know if it's really quirky, but it's just like it's definitely a ritual where like I'm going through and making sure I have every single thing in my kit, you know. I try to have a checklist too. Actually, I do have checklists. And you know, because I do a variety of projects, like I'm either outdoors or I'm in the studios. There's like, yeah, I have to, and each thing kind of requires different gear. Yeah, it's just like really making sure to have I have everything the night before um heading out because I don't know. It sucks to like be on set and be like, oh, I forgot memory cards or like something really basic, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would totally do that for sure.
That actually happened. It's so funny because that actually happened like to me 3 months ago. And luckily we were doing a shoot downtown and I could just easily pick up memory cards. But yeah, I felt like so like amateur there. I'm like, how did I forget memory
Yeah,
cards? You know?
it happens to everyone. With that said, what has been the biggest maybe mistake you've made kind of in this journey of being a photographer?
Mistake. I don't know if it's really a mistake, but I've definitely learned like some lessons. First and foremost, like kind of getting like the copyright squared away. Because there have been like a couple of jobs, or did I say a few jobs, more than two, and especially like kind of like early in my career, where like you know we have a project in place, we're doing all the things, we're like with the dates, the models, all the stuff. And we finally like, you know, I send them the agreement and the invoice and everything, and they're like, "Oh no, we don't do like we do work for hire. We don't give copyright to the photographer." And it's like, am I allowed to curse on here? It's like,
Yeah, for
okay,
sure.
it's like what the fuck, you know? Like it's like 2 months of like planning, and then like all of a sudden you're gonna tell me like this is a work for hire job, and like I can't like you know I can't back out now like you know a week before the shoot. Like we have everyone in place. Like you know
Yeah,
if I tell you no, then like I don't get money, the models don't get money. So yeah, that's been a rough thing to go through, and so now I'm more intentional about it in the very beginning, like having that contract signed and saying I own copyright. If you're trying to work for hire me, then the rate is going to go up this much, you know. But
yeah,
ideally, I don't want to do work for hire, period.
got you. Yeah,
Yeah.
what's your yeah, what's your hot takes on copyright? Because I mean, we're definitely in a world now where I feel copyright's going it's changing. It's going to change. Yeah, what's your thoughts around it? Because I know it's
Yeah.
really important to photographers, but
Yeah. I want to own my copyright, you know. And
yeah,
at like the very like I guess basic level or yeah, about it is that like 10 years from now, like if I want to have like a gallery show or like publish my images like in a book, like I think it's ridiculous to not be able to like do that with image like if I don't have the copyright to my own images, like I think that's like fucked up that I can't do that. And then like I have to go back to this like fucking little company or corporation and say, hey, can I use my images that I took for you? You know what I mean? Like that's like it's just
yeah,
dumb. And then like sometimes some of these companies like they go out of business, right? And then like I don't know, yeah. And it's like why do you need
yeah,
yeah, why do you need the copyright? Like do you really need this copyright forever? Like your like product is going to change, the people are going to change, like why do you need the copyright? And so uh
yeah, yeah. I've never heard of it like that. That I mean that makes a lot of sense from your standpoint of like wanting to be able to retain the rights to like yeah publish a book later on.
yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm just curious because I feel like I wonder from a brand's perspective, they just want to make sure that they don't have any other hoops to jump over. So do you think maybe there's just like miscommunication when it comes to copyright?
I know a lot of time, but actually from my experience, it's just that like they've had a lawyer put together their agreements and the lawyer is just
Yeah,
saying no,
true.
company owns the
Yeah,
copyright
yeah, yeah.
regardless. You know, I'm just like, but
Gotcha.
why? Like, why do you guys need? Is it just like corporate greed? You just you don't own this, like own the images. You're just like take. It's
Yeah.
not.
I mean, can't you just both share the copyright? Like,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
don't
Like
know.
I'm happy to like I don't know. yeah, I don't know. I'm happy to like license the images. If you're like a small company or whatever, and you need, I obviously a small company versus a bigger like company, their needs are going to be so much different. But like, I mean, we could work something out where like I can retain the copyright and you can use the
Yeah.
images however you need to use the images.
That makes a lot of sense because the argument I always heard was what happens if Nike has your image and then it becomes this iconic image that's used for hundreds of years? Then
Yeah,
obviously the photographer loses out. But
yeah,
in, most cases, that doesn't happen. Like you said, it gets
yeah,
archived. They're moving on to spring, summer, fall, whatever. It's
yeah,
gone or the company closes down. So yeah, maybe it's just about clarity a little bit.
yeah. And I don't know. And yeah, I don't know if the lawyers, the company lawyers are interested in having like a conversation about that,
Yeah, it's
like,
true.
you know, because because yeah. Anyway, I'm not gonna go down into a negative hole about that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think it's important for people to hear both sides of it too, because
Yeah,
I've definitely worked with a lot of small brands who did the same thing. They wanted, full rights, and yeah, it's a
yeah,
tricky subject.
yeah.
But I also think I just think in general, like the stigma behind it is kind of old, and I think it needs to get kind of reworked with like new language and new
Hmm.
people. I feel like whoever wrote it, was a long time ago. So
Yeah.
yeah, sorry to bring that up.
Oh no, it's okay. This is like also part of it. Like, 'cause this is something, yeah, I mean, I know people do discuss it, and I've gone to like webinars or whatever, like where you talk about copyright, but I think I don't know, it's part of like being
Yeah,
creative,
yeah.
Like,
I'm just generally curious because, if I create a design for a company, they own the design, but
yeah,
it's very much very similar. I
yeah,
mean, in that we're creating something for them. So it's just, yeah, I've always been interested in talking about it with other
hmm,
people.
yeah,
You have a cool new downtown space now in Portland.
hmm.
Tell me about that. Well, how important is it having a space?
It's for me, it's really important. I one it like it kind of helps me save money. I don't know how, yeah. I don't know if I should say kind of, but it helps me save money. Be direct. Um, yeah, so like one, I just love to have my own, like having a space where I can just go in and create, have all my gear there. I don't have to like shuffle it back and forth between my house and wherever I'm going to go shoot at. And so, yeah, it's just like convenient. It's like convenient. It saves me money. And I just like, yeah, I just like being able to have my own space. I do share it with two other people. So there's three of us total, which I think is a good number of people to share a space with. And so, yeah, I can just go in there as long as it's not booked by them, um, and just, schedule test shoots or portrait shoots. And I don't have to worry about like trying to rent another studio in town to like, you know, for those projects. That said, even though I love my studio is awesome and great, it's also like it's not like a giant studio. So if I do need a bigger space, I will go rent a larger commercial studio for those bigger shoots. But for a lot of my shoots, especially like my test shoots, like my space is great for that.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
yeah, that's
gotta
cool.
in there soon.
I know. And I think it's really smart, like sharing the space with other people.
Yeah,
It just takes the burden off of you a little bit.
yeah, exactly. Like we share gear too, so that's also like a
Yeah.
big like convenience. Yeah.
Yeah. And do you also bounce ideas off each other or help each other with solve problems?
Yeah. Yeah, no, actually we do. I was trying to think because we don't really like we don't hang out in person a lot, but we do have a group thread, so a group text, so we do like help each other out in that way. Yeah. But that reminds me, I've been meaning to like have a little like we should have a little studio meetup. I should have a studio meetup with my studio mates and like, just hang out with them.
Yeah,
Um,
totally.
but yeah, 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 they're
Uh,
great though. They're awesome.
Yeah, it's cool to hear. Yeah, you should like do like a monthly meetup where you just maybe share ideas and get things off your chest, maybe.
Yeah. I
Be
also
good.
do want to have events at the studio too. Maybe this summer. Yeah, between like traveling and all that, like I haven't had been able to do it the past few months, but yeah, I think it'd be great. I want to have a little party. I'll keep you posted.
Yeah. Do you find you have time to shoot for yourself anymore?
I'm actually, yeah, it's so, yeah, it's such an interesting question. Yes and no. If I do take photos, it's usually with my phone now, but I haven't been able to like really shoot for myself. Like, because I don't even know what to do anymore. Like, it's funny. I was just
Yeah.
in the Philippines. I took one of my old DSLRs with me with the intention of like, I'm gonna like take travel photos and whatever. And then I was like, I kind of don't want to walk around with this thing and take photos. Like it was, it was kind of weird. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard when like you become a professional or like this becomes your career and like you just kind of get into work mode. And so now like when I'm not at work, when I'm not like taking photos, like I kind of don't want to take pictures, which kind of sucks, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get back into that and I'm trying to figure out what it is that like I like to photograph for fun, you know? And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, it definitely changes for sure. I've gone through the same thing. And the iPhone cameras are so nice these days.
they really are. Yeah. Although I guess I did do this for me. I bought a an action camera. I bought the DJI Osmo Action 5 Pro, whatever, and took some cool underwater pictures. So,
Nice.
I guess that was for me. That wasn't for work. Yeah. Okay, I did that. I took some underwater photos and got kind of inspired by that. Yeah.
And maybe maybe you can make a book with the new photos you take.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I've always wanted to do a book, like a book of my old film photos. Like I have like this huge archive of like, 35 millimeter film and like Polaroid films and I've always wanted to make a little like, zine or whatever or book of those. So that's
Yeah.
definitely on my life to-do list.
You should. I mean, it's never been easier to make a book. So, yeah, now is definitely the time.
Yeah,
What I've learned too is to just kind of do things slowly.
yeah,
At least have the intention of saying I'm going to make a book and then just slowly dropping images into a folder or slowly printing things out and putting it on a wall and just
yeah,
kind of like let it naturally grow into whatever it's going to be, but at least make little microscopic steps towards it.
yeah, yeah,
It definitely works, at least for
yeah,
me.
yeah. I should try that. I'm gonna try that. Yeah, just do it.
Yeah. I'll
Yeah.
keep pushing you to do that for
Yeah,
sure.
please do. Yeah.
Is there a project that like, made just a massive impact on you? Whether it was, got you way more clients or maybe you just built a really amazing relationship with the people you worked with?
Good question. Can't no, I mean I can't really pinpoint one particular project no, I can't answer that at the moment. I'm having a hard time.
Oh yeah? A
Yeah.
secret project?
No, it's not secret. I just like having I'm trying to like yeah. I mean, because like every project I feel like is always meaningful, you know?
Hmm.
Well, okay, maybe I shouldn't say every project, but a lot of projects I work on are always meaningful, because I always just enjoy like the people I work with, you know? So, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I know that sounds cheesy, but like every like a photo shoot
Yeah.
I do is like impactful, But there's not just
Yeah.
one, you know what I mean? I mean,
Totally. Yeah.
yeah, they're always special, and it's partly because I get to work with like really awesome people. So, yeah, if that makes does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah,
I don't
totally.
know.
I mean, I've
Yeah.
seen like with your work, you've worked with a bunch of small brands where it seems like I imagine the work that you're doing for them, it makes such a huge impact on their business
Yeah. I
versus,
hope.
working for a bigger company, you know, you're really just a drop in the bucket when you work for a Nike or something, right?
Yeah.
But when you work with those smaller companies, you really are helping them grow their business, which is really
Yeah.
cool.
I guess so I actually I've wrapped up a project with this UK brand called Passenger Clothing. Have you heard of them?
Mm.
They were doing a they're doing a collaboration with Swift Industries. And I've done a lot of work for Swift Industries, and I got the job through Swift basically because Passenger is doing this collaboration with them. Martina from Swift Industries like gave them my name for like this particular project. So I mean, I guess, yeah, that's pretty impactful, to be like
Yeah.
going from having her share my name with them. Like that's pretty cool. And it had been a couple years since I worked with Swift, so yeah, that was actually really cool to get that email and be like, oh yeah, Martina sent us your name, and I was like, oh cool. And it had actually been a
Yeah.
while since I've done any gravel cycling shoots too, in particular. So yeah, I would say that was pretty impactful. That was a very meaningful project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Sometimes you just have to like spell it out from Icarus.
Yeah. Well, so you said that you're going through creative block right now.
Hmm.
And what does that look for you? Is it just you have a hard time putting together mood boards for clients, or you have a hard time on growing your brand or growing your business? What does creative block look for you?
More personal. Like I feel like I kind of lost who I am as a creative, you know, like
Hmm.
like there are times where I'm like, I don't know what I like anymore, you know? And so, or like, what kind of artist am I? So it's kind of more of that, not so much with work, but like just me personally as a creative, like who am I? What am I into? Like you were asking me if I shoot for myself, and I had a hard time answering that, and it turns out I was shooting for myself. But yeah, that kind of creative block. So I'm sort of in this exploration phase where I'm actually trying to teach myself how to draw again, and
Yes,
specifically with
nice.
figure drawing because I kind of want to get, no, I don't want to say kind of. I want to get into painting. I want to paint. I want to paint portraits. And I was trying to do that a couple months ago, and they were not turning out very well. And then I realized the problem is that like I don't know how to draw people like really well. Like I've always like as when I was younger, I've always I would draw and sketch or whatever, but I never really properly learned how to draw, a figure or a face or whatever. So I picked up a book off eBay and I'm kind of doing a page a day, like teaching myself how to draw. So
That's
with
awesome.
the goal to like eventually translate that to painting.
That's really cool.
So yeah, I'm doing that. And then I also want to do other things. Yeah. Yeah. Um, that's how I'm
Well, I
working through
think
my
what's,
creative block.
yeah. Well, I think that's cool because you're doing this thing and you never know when you're painting for a year from now, you have no idea if that's going to spark something else.
Yeah.
So, for example, I started sewing. I have this
Oh yeah.
sewing machine,
Yeah.
and something that came out of it is that I started drawing again. I used to draw all the time too.
Yeah.
And for 10 years, I stopped drawing. And as soon as I started sewing, I started sketching all the time because I'm thinking of different ideas for bags
Yeah.
and whatever. And it's getting so much enjoyment out of it. So to see that sewing got me back into drawing, I think was really cool.
Yeah.
So you never know what little gift you'll get when you go down a path, you know?
Yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, I noticed your sewing machine back there. I have a sewing machine too.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a bag for every guest. So
Oh,
you'll get
I'm
a bag.
excited.
Yeah. Okay. What's next for you? You're drawing, you're learning how to paint. Any exciting projects ahead for the rest of the year?
Um, well, I'm actually next weekend I'm gonna go hang out with Rie, Rie of Simworks, um, and her partner, and do sort of this is more of a personal project, but I want to do like a van life camping photo shoot with them. The loose plans, or we might go to like Smith Rock or somewhere out in Bend and like kind of do some fun
Sweet.
van life photos because I kind of realized I don't have that type of imagery in my portfolio. And I got so that passenger shoot I was talking about earlier, Rie was one of the models, and I got to see her new van. I was like, oh, this is sick, like
Yeah.
I would, yeah, love to do, yeah. So I was like, hey, I just pitched the idea to her about like doing a little photo shoot. So yeah, that's something coming up very soon, which I'm excited about.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm very excited about. Yeah.
Are you gonna rope up and get on the wall at Smith Rock?
No, I don't know how to do that.
I mean, they both climb.
Yeah, I know. I would like to. Climbing is something I've been kind of curious about. I don't know if you saw before, like I well, I didn't quit Instagram, but like last summer I did like a photo shoot where I climbed a tree.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and so yeah, that got me kind of curious about climbing. I mean, the climbing style is very different. Climbing a tree and climbing a wall are two different things, but I was like, oh, if I can climb this tree, then surely I can climb a wall.
Yeah. Well, we could always start like a climbing group.
I know. Yeah, because you climb,
I
right?
mean,
Or
I
you
haven't
used
gone in a
to.
couple years. I haven't gone in a couple years. The circuit, they open, I think Tuesdays and Thursdays, they open up pretty early in the morning. So we used to go there and yeah, there'd be other people there.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
fun. Very cool. Well, before we go, I wanted to ask you a very personal question and ask you if there's like something really deep and powerful that kind of has been resonating with you right now that you'd like to potentially share with everybody.
Deep and powerful. I don't know. Yeah, I think just to keep believing in yourself and I don't know. It sounds cheesy, but also just be a good person. Like don't be a shitty person. You know what I mean? Like I mean, shit's rough right now, like in the country. Just be good. Just be cool. And listen to others. Yeah. But and for those of you like who like or for those who are like, thinking of switching careers, I mean, just go for it. Just believe in yourself and try it. Because if you don't, then you'll be stuck forever. So
Yeah,
I definitely do believe in that. Yeah, wholeheartedly.
totally. Well, yeah, thank you for that. And I don't think it's cheesy at all. I think we all need these little reminders, you know. So, and it's great also hearing it just from our peers and other people. So, we're all kind of
Yeah.
going through it and we're all
Yeah.
going through life in our own speeds and yeah, we need to hear these things. So, yeah, thank you for
Yeah.
coming on.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. It's dope.
And that's our show for today. If you like this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, or share it with a friend. It all really helps out. If you have questions about creativity, process, or anything we talked about, please drop a comment. I'd love to hear from you. You can follow along at Broken Coastal on Instagram and YouTube. Please subscribe to my newsletter. It's a weekly dose of inspiration at the intersection of creativity, design, and the outdoors. It's absolutely free, and I think you'll like it. So, again, thanks for being here, and we'll see you next time.